definition of electricity. In part 1 textbook, page 93, you are going to get this chapter. First of all, what do you mean by electricity, or how it is produced, and what are its effects and all everything you have to study in this chapter. Now, basically, if you want to understand about electric current, you should be knowing about water current also. What do you mean by water current? When the water is flowing at a great speed and pressure, it gives rise for water current. What in the form of waves and all it will come. That is being utilized in producing hydroelectric power, everything you know. So the flow of water gives rise for water current. Like that, the flow of electrons give rise for electric current. The flow of electrons will give rise for electric currents. We all know that these electrons are negatively charged particles, and hence the flow of current is taken in the opposite way. In which direction the positive charges will flow. In which direction the positive charges will flow. That is said to be the direction of electric current, because I told you the flow of electrons will give rise for electric current, and the electrons are negatively charged. Opposite to the flow of electrons means it is the flow of positive charges. In which direction the positive charges will flow, that is said to be the direction of electric current. So in your textbook, I told you page 93, you can see that flowing of water constitute for water current. Like that, the electrical charges I have told you. Electrical charges basically means that it is flow of electrons. The flow of electrons will give rise for the electric current, and the direction of electric current, if you want to come to know about that, it is opposite to the direction of electrons. So opposite to direction of electrons means where the flow of positive charges is there, that is actually said to be the direction of flow of current. So in this page, what all the underlined things is there, that will give you about this explanation. So in this page, what the blue color markings is there, that where you go through in this page, in page 93. Now if we go for the next part, here in this page, what do you mean by electric current you came to know. What is the expression given for electric current? So now the net charge, I told you the flow of charges, mainly the negatively charged particles like electrons, when they are moving, it will give rise for electric current. So, and you all know that the substances which allow the electricity to pass through them are called as the conductors, which will not allow the electricity to pass through them are called as the insulators. Now this is a conductor, like wire, copper wire, aluminium wire, let us suppose this is a conductor. In this conductor, it has some area of cross section, like what the length and breadth, everything is there, it is having some area of cross section. In this conductor, how much the net charge you will consider as Q. The net charge Q flowing in this conductor, how much time it will take. So now the current or the electric current is calculated by I is equal to Q by T, we will say. How it can be stated? The net charge, the flow of net charge across the area of cross section of a conductor at a particular time. This is called as the flow of electric current, or electric current is given by, this is electric current I, which is given by Q by T, where Q is the net charge what it flows in the conductor, and T is the time taken or given time in that flow. So current is equal to Q by T means the flow of net charge in a given time for a particular area of cross section of a conductor is called as the electric current. So in page 94, the first two lines, you can see the definition of electric current. Afterwards, if you come for the SI unit of electric current, SI unit of electric current is coulomb. Coulomb, it is being symbolized by C. SI unit of electric current is coulomb, it is symbolized by C, and its value is nearly equal to 6 into 10 to the power of 18 electrons. I told you the flow of electrons. The flow of electrons will constitute for electric current. So the charges flowing are naturally the electrons here. So 1 coulomb, 1 C is equal to nearly, this is nearly equal to 6 into 10 to the power of 18 electrons. So in 1 coulomb of electric current, how much flow of electrons will be there? Nearly 6 into 10 to the power of 18 electrons will be moving that place. And now afterwards we have now the electric current. So electric current is being produced by the flow of electrons. And what is the unit of measuring electric current? Unit for measuring electric current is ampere, that is symbolized by A. So now the unit of electric current is ampere, it is symbolized by A. Here you can see. What do you mean by 1 ampere? 1 ampere is nothing but flow of 1 coulomb of current in 1 second. So what is 1 ampere? 1 ampere is nothing but the flow of 1 coulomb of electric current in 1 second. The flow of 1 coulomb of electric current in 1 second is called as 1 ampere. 1 ampere means it is the flow of 1 coulomb of electric current in 1 second. So what do you call 1 ampere? The flow of 1 coulomb of charges. The flow of 1 coulomb of charges in 1 second is called as 1 ampere. And now what is the instrument used to measure the electric current, or the device? The device used to measure the electric current is called as ammeter. So ammeter is the device used to measure the electric current. These are the basic things in this chapter. So wherever the blue colored lines are there, you can see. And now we are having the electricity having the closed circuit and open circuit. Closed circuit means that where there is flow of electric current completely. Open circuit means like switch off. There is no flow of current in this. So switch off and switch on. Closed circuit is switch on, flow of current will be there. Open circuit is switch off, where there is not flow of current. So here in this page you can see figure 12.1. This is having 2 marks. They may ask you to draw the diagram of a electric circuit comprising cell, electric bulb, ammeter and plug key. So this is also important. And simple numericals here, which is being calculated by making use of the simple formula Q is equal to I by T, where all the values is given. Just substitute and go for the value. The unit is coulombs here, so it is C. So this page you are having this much of understanding. Next, if you come for the electric potential and potential difference, why this electric current will flow? For example, some potential must be there. If you take water, when water has to flow from higher level to lower level means naturally some pressure will be there, gravitational pull will be there, it will flow. Or from the ground level it has to go for the what we can say, upon the terrace you have kept some tank, to the over tank it has to go means we are using the hydraulic motors, and the pressure will push that electricity and the pressure will push the water to. So there will be some potential for the flow of water. In the same way, when these electrons has to move from one place to another place means they will require some pressure. That electric pressure what is required for the movement of electrons. Like this I told you, some pressure is there pushing the water to flow from higher level to lower level. In the same way, there is some electric pressure. This electric pressure actually makes the electrons to move from one place to another place. This is only called as the potential difference. PD also we can call. So how the electrons are moving? The electrons can move from one place to another place with the help of electric pressure. This is only called as the potential difference. Hence the potential difference will help in the supply of electricity, we can understand. And this happens only in the conductors. Conductors means you all know that which will generate or which will pass the electricity from one place to another place in it. That is called as the conductor. So in order the electricity passes through the conductor means it requires the electric pressure, and that electric pressure only is called as the potential difference. This potential difference is having the unit called volt, and it is being measured by a device called as voltmeter. Volt is the unit and voltmeter is the device. Now what do you mean by potential difference? Potential difference is nothing but the work done. It is nothing but the work done in moving a unit charge from one place to another place. For example, here switchboard is there, here one bulb is there, means the flow of electrons from here to here, the flow of electricity from here to here is called as the potential difference. So I can say that it is the work done to move a unit charge from one point to the other. The work done in moving a unit charge from one point to other is called as the potential difference. It is given here. The work done to move a unit charge from one point to other point is called as the potential difference between these 2 points. And it is having the unit volt, and it is being measured by a device called as voltmeter. So all these things you underline, and we will move on to the next page. In the next page, they have given you, when 1 joule of work is done to move a charge of 1 coulomb from one point to other, it is called 1 volt. Here I told you, what do you mean by potential difference? It is the work done in moving a unit charge from one point to another point, I told you. And it is measured by a unit called volt, I told you. Now what do you mean by 1 volt means? It is nothing but a work done, unit work done, I told. No, work done unit is joule. So 1 joule of work done, 1 joule of work must be done in moving 1 coulomb of charge from one point to another point. So the movement of 1 coulomb of charge from one point to another point can be done by giving 1 joule of work. Or in other way, if you want to say, 1 joule of work is required. 1 joule of work is required for moving 1 coulomb of charges from one point to another point. This is called as the 1 volt. So 1 volt means what? It is nothing but 1 joule of work done. 1 joule of work done in moving 1 coulomb of charges is called as 1 volt. So that is being given here, and it is measured by an instrument or a device called as voltmeter. Or about that I have given for you. So underline things you make a note. And here in this page 97, what all the symbols is given, very important. Any symbol may be there for the examination. So go through all the symbols. How the electric cell can be symbolized, how the wire joint can be symbolized, how the resistor can be given, what is the symbol of ammeter, voltmeter, everything is given. So this page is quite important. Go through that. Next we have to come for the Ohm's law. So Ohm's law is related with the potential difference. So here, if you want to study about Ohm's law, it is the relationship between the resistance of a conductor. Here every time we talk about the conductors only because the electricity should be passed through it. So it depends upon the resistor, it depends upon the current, electric current, that is being represented by I, and also it depends upon the potential difference represented by V. So the Ohm's law is depending upon 3 main terminologies, 3 main things. What are they? Resistance of the conductor symbolized or represented by R, current of the conductor given by I, potential difference given by V. Mixing all these things, you are going to define the Ohm's law. If you want to state Ohm's law, you can see page 114, 5th point, in the back side it is given. So it is nothing but the potential difference across the ends of the conductor. The potential difference across the ends of the conductor. See, it is given here. V is proportional to I, means the potential difference across the conductor is proportional, is directly proportional to the current flowing in it. Now if you want to remove the proportionality sign, you have to add a constant for that. That constant is nothing but the resistance. So you can write this as V is equal to IR. So this is the Ohm's law. What does Ohm's law states? That the potential difference between the two ends of a conductor is directly proportional to the current flowing through it. The potential difference between the ends of the conductor is directly proportional to the current flowing in it. If you want to remove this proportionality sign, you have to take a constant, that is R, the resistance. So V is equal to Ri can be represented as V is equal to IR, which is nothing but the Ohm's law. So to state Ohm's law, you can go for this point, or in a general way, if you want to state that Ohm's law is stated as the potential difference across the conductor is directly proportional to the current flowing through the conductor. This is about the Ohm's law. So you can go for the statement in that page, but here this is important. Now how the case history will be: the current through the resistor is inversely proportional to its resistance. So inversely proportional to its resistance means, see here, if you go for this, V is equal to I by R, we can change and write this equation. When you change and write this equation, what you are going to get this? This is nothing but what? Potential difference. Potential difference is inversely proportional to the resistance and directly proportional to the current flowing through it. So from Ohm's law, what result you can get is the potential difference is inversely proportional to the resistance and directly proportional to the current flowing through the conductor. So now V is equal to I by R. If you take these two relations are inverse to each other. Relationship is inverse means what? If you increase the potential difference, the resistance goes on decreasing. If you increase the resistance, the potential difference goes on decreasing. For example, if you are doubling the resistance, what happens to the potential difference? It is reduced to half. If you are having 2 ohms of resistance, then potential difference will be 1 volt. Or if you have 2 volts of resistance, means the potential difference means the resistance will be 1 ohm. The unit of resistance is ohm. So now these two are inversely proportional to each other, means if this increases, R will decrease. If R increases, V will decrease. But these two are directly proportional. If you increase this, this will also increase. If you decrease this, this will also decrease. So like that, these two are related. And now what you are going to say about the rheostat? So whenever we are running the electrical appliances or electrical devices, we want some changes in the voltage. So that sources which give the change in the voltage are called as the variable resistance. The sources which gives change in the voltage of the electrical equipments are called as the variable resistance, and this variable resistance can be measured by making use of a device called as rheostat. So in our electrical equipment, we are having the change in the voltage. The change in the voltage sources is called as the variable resistance. The measuring device for this variable resistance is called as the rheostat. This in the laboratories and all you can see where we are having the changing variable voltage sources. When we are having the voltage source variable, means that term is variable resistance, and the device used to measure it is called as the rheostat. So now here in this page also you can see the important things what is being marked. Next we move on to the next page. What do you mean by a resistor? Okay, well, you know about the conductor. The flow of electricity is called as the conductor. If it is not having the flow of electricity, it is called as the insulator. What do you mean by a resistor is the next question. The resistor means it is having appreciable resistance. Appreciable resistance we will call. Appreciable resistance means, actually resistance means it is the obstruction created during the flow of electricity. When the electrons are moving from one place to another place, if you restrict them, if you obstruct them, now the flow of current is not continuous. Here You are having 6 volts of current means if you obstruct there, for the next point it not be 6 volt, it will come to 4 volts. One more obstruction is given means once again it may reduce and go for 2 volts. Here and all we have created the obstruction, we have made some damages for the flow of current. This is called as the resistance. The resistance is the obstruction created for the flow of current. Now what are the devices named as the resistors, which will have an appreciable resistance means they will not cut the flow of electric current, they will allow the flow of current, but here and there the flow of electricity is being reduced. To a small extent the flow of electricity is being reduced means there is a change in the voltage source. The voltage is not continuously the same from one point to another point. Little bit it will have the changes. This is called as the resistor. So the resistor is a device which will have the appreciable resistance in a conductor. It should be a conductor. It should not be an insulator. So in a conductor, when you are having the appreciable resistance, these devices are called as the resistors. For example, now after this, if you want the continuous flow of current means you can never give the keep the resistor here. So now the flow of electrons will increase and the current flow may go for again 6 volts also. So like that, appreciable resistance in a conductor is said to be the resistors, and these resistors are connected in two ways. One, the resistors are connected in series. Second, the resistors are connected in parallel. So all about that we have to understand. Before going further, we will think about the resistance and the resistor in a detailed way. I told you resistance means it is the obstruction created during the flow of current. On what factors does it depend is the main thing. Now, on what factors it will depend? First of all, it will depend upon the area of cross section of a conductor. Area of cross section of a conductor means if it is a lengthy wire, the resistance will be feeble. If it is a small wire, the resistance will be more. If it is very thick also, the resistance may be not so much effective. If it is a thin wire, the resistance will be very effective. So it depends upon the area of cross section. So I can say that the resistance is directly proportional to the area of cross section. If you increase the area, inversely proportional to the area of cross section. The resistance is inversely proportional to area of cross section means the thickness of the conductor increases means the resistance decreases. The thickness of the conductor decreases means the resistance will increase. Thin wire will have more resistance. Thick wire will have less resistance. So it is inversely proportional. Ulta. Then it is directly proportional to the flow of electric current in it. The resistance is directly proportional to the flow of electric current means as you increase the flow of current, the resistance also increases. Mainly two things here. And one more thing about the nature of the material also we can say here. Any proportionality will not come, but the nature of the material also. For example, the conductor you are taking copper and the conductor you are taking nichrome. Nichrome will be having more resistance compared to copper. Then compared to iron, copper will be having more resistance. Like that, the material also will affect the resistance. It is also one of the factor for resistance. So the resistance of a conductor will depend upon three things. One is area of cross section, second is the flow of electric current in it, and third is the nature of the conductor. Resistance is inversely proportional to the area of cross section. As you increase the area, the resistance goes on decreasing. If you decrease the area of cross section, the resistance also increases. The flow of current is directly proportional to the resistance. If you increase the flow of current, the resistance also goes on increasing. And thirdly, it depends upon the nature of the material. Depends upon certain material which will have the higher resistivity and lower resistivity. For that, if you compare the nichrome and copper wire, nichrome wire will be having more resistive capacity than the copper wire. So three dependents are the factors for the resistance of a conductor. So it is given in this page here, 101. I have mentioned for you, nichrome will have a better resistance compared to silver, silver, copper, silver is better, copper to aluminium, copper is better, aluminium to tungsten, like this I have given you the detail. So now here the dependency or the factors of resistance. Resistance is directly proportional to flow of electric current. Resistance is inversely proportional to the area of cross section. So if you remove the proportionality sign, what you are going to get, R is equal to rho. This symbol is rho. This symbol rho means it is the electrical resistivity. It is given here. Rho means it is the electrical resistivity. During Ohm's law we took R as the constant, resistance as the constant. But here rho we are taking. Rho means it is electrical resistivity of the material. For one material, one electrical resistivity you have. It is not at all a constant. And the SI unit of resistivity is ohm meter. Ohm is the unit of resistance. Ohm meter if you take, that is the unit of resistivity. Now the resistance and the resistivity of a material vary with the temperature. Definitely if you increase the temperature, the resistance increases. If you decrease the temperature, the resistance goes on decreasing. So it is directly proportional to the temperature also we can say. Now one more point given in these lines are very, very important. It may be asked for general questions. We are having the metals and alloys separate. You all know that what do you mean by an alloy. Alloy is a homogeneous mixture of two or more metals or metal and a non-metal. So now alloys will be having generally higher resistivity compared to the metals. Alloys will have more resistivity compared to the metals. Why? Alloys do not burn readily at high temperature. That is why we are taking the alloys in the fuse and in some other electrical equipments also. They will not get oxidized or burnt easily for high temperature. They can resist the temperature. For this reason, they are commonly used in electrical heating devices like electrical iron box, toaster and tungsten filament in the filament bulb. So these are all the examples for the higher resistivity. So now this paragraph also may come as a general question. Go through this. Now certain numericals are there here. This is all easy. You can go through that. Comparing to the system of resistors, that time only I told you resistors can be connected in series and they can be connected in parallel. Now if you connect in series, what will happen? If you connect in parallel, what will happen? We will go for the next page. Before that, in 103, there are two methods of joining the resistors together. They are in series and parallel. You have to note down. Now we will come for the selection of series and parallel. The diagrams, circuit diagrams of resistors in series, resistant in parallel, 2-mark question it is. So go through these diagrams very well. Now if you come for the page 105 here, you can see here, in a series combination of resistor, the current is the same in every part of the circuit. So here if you are connecting in series like this, what happens to the electric current? Electric current will not change throughout, the same it will be. It will not change. For example, you are supplying 10 watts of current or 150 volts of current, means from the beginning to the end point 150 volts will be going. It will not have any changes only. So in series you are going to see that the voltage or the flow of current will not change at all. It is same on every part. Starting if you take A and ending if you take B. Here if you have supplied 20 volts, in the middle also at some point it will be 20 volts and at the end also it will be 20 volts only. So the series resistors if you are connecting, you are going to see that there is no variation in the flow of current. It will be same throughout the circuit from the beginning point to the end point. If you want to calculate the total potential difference which are in connected series, means you can take this as V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. If you want the total resistance, it is given by R1 plus R2 plus R3. This is the electrical voltage you are going to supply. Total how much you have connected. For example, this is 2 volt, this is 2 volt, this is 2 volt, means total potential difference will be 2 plus 2 plus 2, 6 volts. Now total resistance, if you have given here 2 ohm, here if you have given 3 ohm, there if you have given 4 ohm, means 2 plus 3 5, 5 plus 4 9 ohms will be the resistance. So here this is the total potential difference and this is the total resistance. Each individual component, if you add, if you sum up, you are going to get the total potential difference and also the total resistance when you are connecting the resistors in series. They may have some changes in the potential difference and also in the resistor. If you add them, if you take the summation of them, you are going to get the total potential difference or the total resistance. That is with respect to the series connection. In page 106, example 12.7, so many times they have asked the same number also. So you go through that. It is easy by taking the formulas. You can calculate that. It is very easy. Now if we come for the resistors in parallel, you turn to page 108. In page 108, they have given you, if you want the total potential difference or the total current flowing there, you have to take up in this way. 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2 plus 1 over R3 means it is the reciprocal. It is not the direct value. There in series we took R1, R2, R3 added together. Here we are taking 1 over R1, 1 over R2, 1 over R3 means it is the reciprocal of it. So the reciprocal of the resistances, individual resistances will give you the total resistance when you are connecting in parallel. Now important thing in this page is very important in 109. Why the parallel connection, parallel resistor connection is advantageous or beneficial when you compare with the series. Now series circuit current is constant throughout that. So obviously we cannot connect the resistors in series between electric bulb and electric heater. Electric bulb will require certain less amount of electric current, but heater requires a more amount of electric current compared to bulb. These two we cannot connect in series because it is constant throughout. This cannot be done. If you want to connect a bulb and a heater from a common plug point means in series it is not possible because the bulb needs a lesser amount compared to the heater. So series connection is having a disadvantage because it supplies the electric current at a constant rate throughout the electric circuit. If you want to connect several electrical appliances having variation in their voltage, you have to go for the parallel connection only. So another disadvantage means, what is that? If any one component in the series, connected in the series is broken, is failure, the entire component will not work. For this example, you might have seen the serial bulb sets for the marriage function, for the temple festival, that this and all, they will be connecting the serial sets. That serial bulb, somewhere if it is not working, any one bulb if it is not working means that electrician has to search the full wire where from the bulbs he has connected, the chain like things what he has been decorated, everywhere he had to go and see which bulb is not working. When it is repaired or when it is corrected only, other serial bulbs also start glowing. So that is the reason the series connections, if you give, any one component fails to work means the whole working system of working is a failure. So these are the two drawbacks of connecting the resistors in series. One is the flow of current is constant. We cannot connect for several types of electrical appliances. Second is what? Any one component fails when you are connecting in series. Any one component gets failed means the whole component will not work from the beginning to the end. So these are the two disadvantages when you are connecting in series. Coming to the parallel circuit, what are the advantages? Here it is given. A parallel circuit divides the current through the electrical gadgets. It can change the electrical resistances. It can connect several devices of different voltage capacities. The total resistance in a parallel circuit is decreased. This is helpful particularly when each gadget has different resistance and requires different current to operate. This is how the parallel series connection is useful. We can correct so many electrical appliances for a decreased supply of electric current since it can give different resistances which is required for the particular device to work. So this is also important, this difference between connecting the resistors in series and the parallel. They may ask you what are the advantages of connecting resistor in series, what are the disadvantages connected in advantage in series, advantage in parallel, disadvantage in series. They may ask you, so this also very important. Now coming to the heating effect of electric current. Last year and this year this has become a familiar question. They are asking about the Joule's law of heating. So before and all that factors of resistance, that this Ohm's law, everything was there, but now last year and this year what we had, that model papers, preparatory midterm exams, we came to know about these questions. They are asking popularly the Joule's law of heating, applications of heating effect of electric current, all that things. So now you have to understand this. To understand this, what you have to do means, here I will take the example of electric fan. To understand the heating effect of electric current, I will take the example of electric fan. So well, all of you know that electric fan runs through the help of electricity. Okay, when the fan is rotating, you all know that the blades of the fan will turn and gives you the effect, cooling effect. Now what happens when the flow of current is towards the fan? When the current is moving towards the fan, for example, let us suppose that 120 volts of current is moving towards the fan. In that, some amount of work is done in rotating the blades. If the fan has to work, means definitely the blades has to rotate. So some amount of work is done in rotating the blades. Where does the other work go? You all know that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It cannot be destroyed. Some energy is utilized in rotating the blade. Where the other energy went? The other energy comes out in the form of heat. It is completely scattered in the form of heat. After continuously using the fan for 10 to 15 minutes or half an hour, if you go and touch the fan, you are going to experience the hotness. It will become heat. So we can analyze clearly that when the electricity is being supplied for some electrical appliances to work, the entire amount of electrical energy is not being taken to do that work. Some amount of energy is utilized in doing that work. Remaining energy comes out in the form of heat. This is only called as the heating effect of electric current. With the example, remember properly, electric fan. Okay. And now tungsten filament bulb also. Like this tungsten filament bulb, if you take, inside the bulb will be glowing. 10 minutes afterwards, if you go and touch the bulb, you can't touch the bulb. So much hot it will become, the outer surface. What is the reason? When you have supplied some amount of electric current, this bulb may be having 40 watts or 60 watts or 100 watts. To that extent, only a limited amount of energy is making the tungsten to take the temperature, makes it red hot, makes it to glow. Remaining electrical supply, where it has gone? It has gone in the form of heat. It is being scattered in the form of heat. So only we can't touch the bulb, and even the fan also, I told you. So this is only called as the heating effect of electric current. When we are making use of electrical devices, why not? If you are using the mixer, wet grinder, whatever, after some time continuously using the devices, if you touch that, you are getting the hotness, you are feeling hot if you touch them. That is nothing but the heating effect of electric current. So here in page 110, here from this part you can go through what is the heating effect of electric current. To maintain the current, the source has to keep expending its energy from one point to another point. When the electricity has to flow means definitely it has to spend some energy. It has to expend some energy. It has to spend some energy. Where this energy will go? A part of energy is used in maintaining the current. I told you, like the fan blades rotating or the tungsten filament glowing, like that. Rest of the energy may be expended in heat to raise the temperature of the gadget. Definitely, why the electrical gadgets gets heated? Because of this only. Some amount of energy is used to work the devices. The remaining will come out in the form of heat. This is only called as the heating effect of electric current. So all this is given here in this. Now here, what do you mean by heating effect of electric current? It is given here. The source of energy continually gets dissipated. You can, if you are not able to write this word, you can write it as gets scattered or gets consumed entirely in the form of heat. This is known as the heating effect of electric current. This is only called as the Joule's method of heating also. Joule's law of heating, further we will say Joule's method of heating also. This is only. This effect is being utilized in electrical devices like electric heater, electric iron, electric oven. So many devices which are used for the heating effect will have the application of Joule's heating, what is popularly known as heating effect of electric current. Now if you come for this line, a steady current I means one constant flow of current I flowing through the amount of heat H produced in time is given by. Now we have taken particular time is given for that, particular amount of heat is produced, and you are supplying a proper constant amount of electric current. That expression is given by H is equal to VIT. In terms of Ohm's law, if you type, this is important, come to this part. In terms of Ohm's law, if you want to write the heating effect of electric current, it is given by H is equal to I square RT. This is the formula for heating effect of electric current, what we popularly call as Joule's law of heating. I saw this question in preparatory papers and all. What is Joule's law of heating? Joule's law of heating gives you the relationship between the amount of heat. H means what? Amount of heat. I means electric current. R means resistance. T means time. You may have one question in your mind. What is the requirement of resistance? Naturally, when the current is flowing from one part to another part, if you create a resistance, if you create an obstruction, the energy flow will be there. Because of the obstruction, it will come out in the form of heat. Got it? So resistance, the more resistance, more will be the heating effect. So whenever the flow of current is there, if you are not obstructing that from this point to that point, very easily it will go. Somewhere if you obstruct the flow of current, that means a resistance is created there, means definitely that part of the work is also done. Where the obstruction is created, there the energy comes out in the form of heat. This is only called as the Joule's law of heating. And how much time? Less time is no problem, you are not getting so much of heating effect. More time means you are going to get more heating effect. How? You are all have the experience of fan, no? 5 minutes, 10 minutes means if you go and touch, nothing will happen. Hours together the fan has worked. If you go and touch, you can see the hotness in the bulb, it may be, or in the fan it may be. So it depends upon the time, it depends upon the resistance, it depends upon the flow of current. Flow of current means very less current if you give, much effect will not be there. More voltage if you give, more effect will be there. So the amount of heat is directly proportional to the square of the flow of current, is directly proportional to the resistance of the conductor, is directly proportional to the time of flow of current in it. So easily you only can write the factors of Joule's law of heating. Joule's law of heating is the relationship between the flow of current, the resistance, the time taken, and the amount of heat produced. How it is related? The amount of heat produced, the amount of heat produced in a resistor is directly proportional to the square of the flow of electric current in a conductor, is directly proportional to the resistance of the conductor, and it is directly proportional to the time for which the current flows in the conductor. So easily you can go for this answer. It is not at all difficult. What do you mean by Joule's law of heating means? Here it is. The source energy continuously gets scattered in the form of heat. This is known as the heating effect of electric current. If at all, if you cannot write this, you can go for the fan example what I gave, and that you can write. This is called as the heating effect of electric current, what we popularly call as the Joule's law of heating. The amount of heat produced in the resistor is directly proportional to the square of the electric current flow in the resistor, is directly proportional to the resistance of the electric current, and it is directly proportional to the time for the flow of electric current in the particular conductor or the resistor. This is known as the Joule's law of heating. What your familiar question it came. And now electrical appliances, when it is connected to a voltage source, you can go for the changes in the voltage source also. Heavy current comes means this voltage source will what you call as voltage sources, what we call that V-guard appliances and all will come now. Stabilizers. Making use of stabilizers, we can save our electrical devices also, because they can reduce the amount of action if more amount of electricity flows into your electrical devices. But heat will come out in the form of heat. It will resist the flow of current, but it results in the form of heat. So only the devices will become very hot if you are using continuously the electrical appliances. If you are not still taking care for that, means what happens? Finally short circuit or electrical damages will happen if excess amount of heat is being produced continuously. So that is the Joule's law of heating. I think you have understood now. This is very important. Now the last part, if you come here, this is about the applications of Joule's law of heating. The Joule's law of heating is have taken the application in electric laundry iron. It is not the charcoal. Electric laundry iron, big iron boxes will be there. They have to take much supply of electricity, much heat should be produced. So there they are taking this Joule's law of heating. Electric toaster, electric oven, electric kettle. Electric kettle, I think you all have seen, it will be in the shape of kettle. If you put water, sugar in that, you can prepare coffee, tea, everything, that one. Electric heater it may be, and so many other popular familiar devices are making use of Joule's law. Even the electric bulb also, what is given here, I told you before only. Now here they have given you about the tungsten filament bulb, which has the high melting point around about 3380 Celsius centigrade we can take. So it is made use in the tungsten filament bulb. So in order to give the lifetime for that, inside the bulb it is being filled with inactive nitrogen and argon gases, so heating effect will be not much effective for that. So this paragraph also you go through that. Now here certain other applications of Joule's law of heating is given, in which the popular device is the fuse. See here, another common application of Joule's law of heating is the fuse, which is used in electrical devices, which is a safety device, you all know that. Okay, the fuse is placed in series with the device. So now I will say you the story of this electrical fuse. Actually the fuse will be made up of a bimetallic strip, we will call. Bimetallic strip means two metals of different electrical resistivity. Two metals of different electrical resistivity, one like aluminium and copper. These two metals are being winded together and they are being taken for the fuse. When limited supply of electricity is there, their resistivity is in a normal way, they will be working. Suppose one heavy supply of electricity comes into the home appliances, means in the fuse what will happen? These two are having the resistivity different. Which is having more here? Aluminium is having more resistivity compared to copper. Now copper, what will happen? Because of high temperature it will expand. When it expands, this link between the aluminium and copper gets separated. When the link is separated, the flow of electricity is automatically stopped. It will not enter into our home appliances. The fuse there itself it will disconnect and save our electrical appliances. That is what it is given here. So now when you are going to get high temperature, these metals will melt actually. When they are melting, they are being separated. When the wires are separated, automatically the flow of electricity into our home appliances will not be there. So we are all in a safer part. If suppose the fuse is not there, means the entire electrical voltage, if it enters to our home appliances, means definitely it creates a short circuit. So fuse, by breaking itself, by breaking the circuit in itself, will protect the electrical appliances in the household way. So this is the safety device we will call, and basically it is made up of a porcelain cartridge which is a insulator. This porcelain cartridge is an insulator. It will not allow the electric current to give any shock. So now the fuses which is used for in the near the meter board, if you go and see, you can see the fuse also adapted there. For the household appliances, it will be having 1 ampere, 2 ampere, 3 ampere, 5 ampere only popularly we have. For industrial applications, we will have 10 amperes. 5 amperes means usually the household alternating current supply will be there. Maximum 250 volts will be given for the household appliances. So it will be having 5 amperes fuse. Other than 250 volts, if electric current enters to your meter board means automatically the fuse gets disconnected, and then it will save our internal appliances. This is how the fuse will work, following the principle of Joule's heating, you can say, or heating effect of electric current also. So they may ask you about the fuse, and one more question about the household fuse voltage. It is 5 amperes because we are having from 220 to 250 maximum in the household. That is all the alternating current. Now the electric power, how the supply of electricity will be there. The supply of electricity means what it is here. See, the rate at which electrical energy is consumed in an electric circuit. The rate at which electrical energy is consumed in an electric circuit is called electric power. So what is electric power? One more question may come. Here is your answer. The rate at which electric energy is consumed in an, you leave this word. The rate at which electric energy is consumed in an electric circuit is called electric power. Electric power is also given by this same symbol, P is equal to VI, and its unit is watt. Watt, if you consider, it is for the smaller value. So for the bigger values we are considering 1 kilowatt. 1 kilowatt means 1000 watts. 1000 watt is called as 1 kilowatt. So for the bigger amount of electrical power, we are calculating the 1 kilowatt. So the commercial unit of electrical energy is 1 kWh, means 1 kilowatt. In your meter boards and all, you can say it will be written there. And the conversion is also given here. Make a note of it. And simple numerical sum here given here in page 113 may be a important sum. So this is all about this chapter. I told you once again, electric fuse may be important, its application. At present I am seeing this here about the Joule's law of heating, and then something about the series and parallel differences they may ask, or they may ask you the diagrams compulsorily, I think so, series and parallel. And here and there 1 or 2 numericals which is easy to solve may come for you. This is all about this chapter. And before and all, they used to ask about the factors depending for the resistor, that and this. So make a note of all these things and go through this. If you are having any doubt, call my personal number and clear the doubts. Okay.